Hello and welcome to the Oddschecker betting show. This is the second day of the July festival at Newmarket. This is the preview of the Friday, and we did Thursday yesterday. We're recording this on Friday morning, so we don't know what happened on the first day as of yet. But I'm your host, George Elek, and as was the case in Thursday's preview, I'm joined by just the one man, the myth, the legend, Oddschecker's very own tipster, Andy Holding, joins me today for what will be a very quick rattle through the card on Friday, and we'll be previewing Saturday's racing after this as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We spoke on the Thursday preview about the quirks of the course, let's say, and the fact we're expecting the ground to be probably on the firm side of good to firm. Andy, is that still the case today?
Yeah, particularly down in the southeast. That's where most of the good weather is going to be taking place in the next few days. Looking at the long range forecasts, definitely sunshine abound really Friday, Saturday. So I think we're going to be looking at quick conditions for the weekend, and come this podcast, which we're going to be covering for Friday and Saturday, we'd have had a chance to have a look where the draw is taking shape as well, because we've got a really competitive 3-year-old handicap on the Thursday, which there are maximum field. They'll stretch right across the track, so that will give us a bit of an inkling where we need to be with some of these horses we're tipping now.
Yeah, we'll learn a fair bit, but sadly we won't know that when we're recording this.
No.
But before we do get into the racing, going to point you all in the direction of the Oddschecker app. Best prices, which we'll be talking about in terms of today across all bookmakers. Bookie offers free bets, place terms, and Andy's tips, amongst other tipsters, going straight to the app every single morning of racing. So do go and download the Oddschecker app now. The first race on the card is the 115. It is a maiden over 7 furlongs. I think only 3, or maybe it's even 3 of the runners, Ravon, Azaj, and Hope You Can Run, have had runs under their belt before here, Andy. So, and there are no prices as of yet. So not much point in doing much of an in-depth preview. Any of those that have run, done anything of note, or is it a case of just move on and see if you get any whispers in the morning?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you've got such a bunch of high-profile unraced horses like there is here, with obviously Charlie Appleby's and Andrew, there's a nice horse of Andrew Baldwin's apparently in there. Always best to be vigilant with the markets, but I tend to just treat those races 9 times out of 10 as no betting races. So I'm not going to be misleading the public here with that one.
Simple. Move on to the 150 then. The handicap over a mile 2. We've got 12 runners as it stands, a few firms, 365 Hills, Betfair Sportsbook, Betfred, Sporting Index Live Score, Betway, all going 4 places at the moment. And New London is the 130 favourite ahead of Yonafis at 4-1, Natural World 15-2, Swilken Bridge 9-1, Reel 'Em In 9-1, Warhorse 10-1, Knightswood 10-1, 14-1 bar.
Yeah, but we all have a collection of losing dockets, don't we, in our draws that could qualify as the worst bet you've ever had. Yeah, the worst bet you've ever had pile. There is a never-ending stream of those. But I think my bet on New London, I think it was 8-1 to win the Derby after he won his maiden at Newmarket. That definitely qualifies as a shock, one of the shocking bets of the season. He went to Chester, well back to win I think it was the D Stakes, might have been the Chester Vars. I can't remember the names of the trials and which one won what. But I do know he got a good sound thrashing by changing of the guard. At the time, that seemed a real big disappointment. But given what changing of the guard's gone on to do in the Derby and, of course, at Royal Ascot, it probably wasn't as bad at the time as it seemed. You'd probably put that run down as well, and a very much under par performance down to the ground as well. It was soft. His 2 runs previously to that, including his victory at Newmarket, were on fast ground. So the return to a fast surface and, of course, Newmarket should seem in a much better light. Off a mark of 99, that's certainly more than workable. If they thought he was a Derby horse, and a mark of 99 and a handicap should be fine. He's got a potentially good draw in stall 1. There's a very short run to the bend here at Newmarket on the mile and a quarter track. So the closer you are to the rail, the better you have of getting or cutting the corner. So I think on balance he's probably the worthy favourite, but he is up against a horse that represents the race of the entire Royal Ascot meeting I'm looking to follow the most, the Britannia Handicap. Of all the handicaps run in that 5-day period at the Berkshire track, this was definitely pound for pound the best. There's been one horse that's come out of the race so far. It finished 15th of the 30 runners, and it absolutely bolted up the other day at Ripon. It was called Claim the Crown, which I was going to back, but I didn't, because I just wanted to see how it ran with a view to following the race. So I'm already near 0 for 1 in following that particular form line, which I steadfastly said I was going to follow. But he's the first foot soldier out of the race. Now, Yonafis was another horse that caught the eye in that race. There was a whole host of them. I must have watched that race probably at least a dozen, if not more times. I watched one horse individually each time. I wanted to look at it rather than look at the whole race, and your eyes are everywhere. I think what you had to do is go back and watch that one, watch this one, watch that. So I've watched them all individually from start to finish to see where they were at halfway, how much ground they had to make up on the winners. Did they come from behind? Did they make trouble in running? Blah, blah, blah. I've made loads of notes. And Yonafis was one of those ones that got a very favourable mention on my sort of, form sheet. He's drawn stall 12, which is a little bit of a niggle because he's drawn right out on the outside. So Tom Marquand's got to get him across and into the pack or drop him in and trust to look a little bit. But I definitely think he's the most likely improver for the step up in trip. If you look at his 2 runs last year as a 2-year-old, they were both over a mile. Now that suggests that he's going to be running over a mile and a quarter, mile and a half as a 3-year-old. So why he ended up running in the Britannia, I have absolutely no idea. I mean, there was 2 other races he could have run in, the King George Handicap or the other mile and a quarter race for the 3-year-olds. So it was a bit of a head scratcher, and he ran very much according to his pedigrees by Golden Horn. He was never ever going to win over a mile, so I actually upgraded his run. That was his first run on turf as well, so he's likely to improve for that outing, both mentally, physically, just every which way, strip it down. So at the prices, I'd probably just prefer to go with Yonafis. I think it's between the two. They're certainly the 2 most likely candidates here, and the market has got it right. But I've got to stick to that Britannia form, George. There's another one like running on the Saturday as well, which I think is an even better bet than Yonafis, but we'll get on to him sooner rather than later. But he'll do for now.
When you've got New London drawn in 1 and Yonafis drawn in 4, sorry, Yonafis drawn in 12, I should say. So drawn opposite sides. Are you waiting to see what happens in the early races today? Maybe pulling the trigger on the back of that.
Well, this one's a different one because the mile races, the 5, 6, 7 and mile races on the straight track on the July course.
Yeah.
Obviously, they'll split to 2 groups, go down the middle, come near side, far side, whichever. But with this race here, because you've got a furlong or furlong and a half run to the bend.
Yeah.
Obviously, the nearer you are to the inside, the more chance you've got saving ground and getting in a position and getting tucked in. So it's definitely advantage in the favour of New London on the draw front. There's no doubt about that. I've just got to hope, and punters have got to hope. You've got to hope for the expertise of Tom Marquand here and rely on him from stall 12 to eradicate that draw, overcome it in some way. So let's hope he can.
Yeah, Tom, a pretty good man for the job. Always a pretty aggressive rider, so you'd hope he can pop out and get into a decent position. Third race on the card then. So as I say, Yonafis 4-1 pretty much across the board. New London is 100-30. That's stand out with Bet365. Onto the Duke of Cambridge Stakes over 6 furlongs, and Maylandsea is 9-4, Mawj 5-2, Lezoo 5-2. So trappy at the top of the market, with some interesting Ascot form between Mawj and Maylandsea, both finishing runner-up. Lezoo, of course, the famous Frankie winner, flying dismount just the other day after Royal Ascot. Queen Ollie 11-1, Tagline 20-1, Carmella 25-1. Now, I said to you when we did our Ascot review a couple of weeks ago, and you mentioned dramatised victory and just how impressive that was. I said to you, does that mean we've got to put Maylandsea in the tracker as well, finishing behind? And here we have Maylandsea level in the betting with Mawj in a race that I know you didn't rank as highly, and Lezoo, who wasn't there at all. So do you think the market is underestimating the performance that Michael Bell's horse put in here?
Absolutely, yeah. I think Maylandsea's a better value bet than Mawj, just based on pure time figures, what they've achieved so far. Mawj, even her second at Royal Ascot doesn't come out that well. She's run 2 time figures of 18 and 82 on our numbers, and yet Maylandsea's run a 90 at Nottingham on debut and a 92 at Ascot. So 10 spots higher than Mawj, and yet they're the same prices in the market. And I think Maylandsea I'll improve for 6 furlongs as well. That's certainly based on her run style, her pedigree. So I'd prefer her without a shadow of a doubt over Mawj. But the fly in the ointment to both of them is going to be this Lezoo horse I tipped the other day to win a listed race off the back of a smooth victory on debut at Bath when she was really good on the clock. But she improved on that markedly in the hands of Frankie when in here a couple of weekends back. Love the way she travelled through the race. Love the way she got over the ground and quickened. She's got a real fast daisy cut in action. And her time figure of 93 actually puts her on top of the pile. Just slightly ahead of Maylandsea with the 92. There's not a lot between them. But the big advantage that Lezoo's got, and you don't need any prizes for me to surely tell you what it is.
Yeah.
It's the course and distance form.
Yeah.
She's run on the July course, George. You've hit the nail on the head. So when you've got that combination for me of 2 horses to choose from based on numbers, I'll always go with the one that's done it at the track. It's just an absolute cardinal sin if I didn't back up my own beliefs of what I believe in, i.e. course and distance form and a fast time, on the premise that horses, if they've done it once, they'll do it again. I mean, Frankie kind of like, he's going to be in that zone whereby this is a massive meeting for Frankie, making sure that he's reminding everyone who's boss and who's still around. I think he'll want to prove a point here with this Lezoo, but she's a very good filly, very smart, and as much as I'm respectful of that Queen Mary form, and I actually would give a little bit of a favourable mention to Carmella at a price. I think she's way overpriced because she caught the eye from a long way back, and she's been crying out for 6 furlongs. Carmella, you look at her runs in the Mary Gate and in the Queen Mary, 5 furlongs. She's only just getting going in the last furlong. I do think she'll outrun her odds at sort of 25, 33 to 1. But Lezoo, for me, down the front end of the market is the pick.
Stinks of a tricast to be Andy. Maylandsea, Lezoo, and Carmella. Let's go.
What price? What price is Carmella? Am I right thinking 25?
25 to 1. Yeah.
25s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there'll be a 3-place market as well.
There'll be a 3-place market, I would have thought. Yeah. She'll all I'll say, she'll definitely outrun her odds, Carmella.
Yeah, so Lezoo 5 to 2 with every single firm on the oddschecker grid. Maylandsea 9 to 4 with 365 and Hills, short of 7 to 4 elsewhere. Carmella 25 to 1 with Hills, Bet Victor, Coral, and a few others as well. So those are the ways to play it. But Lezoo certainly getting the most positive mention there from Andy, the tip, having won over course and distance a couple of weeks ago. On to the Bet365 Trophy over 1 mile and 6. Candleford is a 7 to 2 favourite ahead of Contact at 15 to 2. Midnight's Legacy 15 to 2. Trawlerman 9 to 1. Zoffy 10 to 1. Soapy Stevens 12. Spirit Mixer 12. Summer's Night 16s with HMS President and Dubai Welcome 18 to 1. Bar those 16 runners as it stands. A few firms paying 6 places here. Andy, who would be the one you'd take?
Yeah, I normally like to find something that's overpriced or stands out as being value at double figure odds. But I'm a massive fan of this Candleford. I must admit, he was one of the horses that kind of surprised me in the way that they won. I didn't really expect it. The market was speaking favourably of him going into that mile 6 race. I think it was at the Copper Horse Handicap. And he was absolutely amazing. Once he got into top gear, sorry, it was the Duke of Edinburgh Handicap, not the Copper Horse Handicap. That was Get Shirty's race. Once he got into top gear, he absolutely left a good feel for dead. Lots of well-fancied horses perceived to be well handicapped, including Trawlerman and the horse that Johnny Murtagh sent over. There was good money for the second as well, Giro from the Kim Bailey stable. And to win by 6 lengths and beat a field like that in the manner that he did, I straight away put down Group Horse next to his name in my reckoning. And Williams still prepared to roll the dice in handicap company before he gets to that level. I think this track will play to his strengths. Stepping up in trips shouldn't be an issue based on the way he hit the line at Ascot. So it's very difficult to get away from him. And the other one I quite like away from him as well is Soapy Stevens. I think he's a fairly reliable character. I think if you backed him each way, you'd be disappointed if you didn't get your money back from the play side. He's often there or thereabouts. He stays particularly well, and I think it'll be a good week for Mark and Charlie Johnson as well. I think they've got their horses just cherry right for the July meeting them all. predominantly for Goodwood. I think that's the track that's the meeting that they're really going to attack this year on all fronts. So those are the two that really jump out to me. But Candleford, big number when he won at Ascot, and he did it in such a manner that I think he's capable of defying his new mark.
Candleford 7-2. That's best price with Hills if you want your 6 places as well, 5th to 6th. Also there with Coral, but they are 1/4 to 4. I've seen 2 firms there, Andy, cut Candleford as we've been talking, so that 7-2 might not last too long. And Soapy Stevens 12-1.
You can't see your hands moving. That's what you can't see your hands moving.
It's not me. Yeah, I won't tell you as to why, but it's not me. I can promise you that. On then to the 335, the Falmouth. And, as a betting heat, you're going to do well to find us anything here because Inspiral, so impressive at Royal Ascot, putting any doubts to bed with that performance. Frankie does ride, and Inspiral is 2-9 to win this 5-runner affair. Feels like she's scared them off, really. The rest basically playing for place money. Sibylla Spain, 12-1. Primo Bacchio, 14-1. Prosperous Voyage, 16-1. And Sandrine, 18-1.
Yeah, I mean, it should be a bit of a lap of honour, shouldn't it, for Inspiral? Frankie really needed that winner that week as well, just to kind of come out of it with some kind of credit, because other than that, it was a bit of a bloodbath along the way for him and for John and Thady Gosden. She got him out of jail, really, figuratively and in actual playing out as it was itself. I mean, she was in a pocket, couldn't get out, and then all of a sudden he switched her, and he was probably thinking to himself, "Oh my God, this horse has got to find a right turn of foot here, or I'm in trouble." But luckily for him, she did, and she ended up absolutely scampering away from a stellar Phillips. I mean, it was a proper race with the Coronation Stakes. They had some really good fillies in there, good representation from the continent, from France, and obviously from UK and Ireland as well. And she absolutely battered them. And because of that, as you're right, she scared a lot off, including Homeless Songs, who would have been the logical danger based on her victory in the Irish Guineas. There's not a lot really we can say. She'll win and win easily. And you're only really looking at the forecast, the horse to chase her home. A lot of people will mess around with that market, and obviously be looking towards maybe the French Raider. But it's not a race really. I've got anything else other to say than I think we'll just see another brilliant performance.
Just sit back and enjoy the show, and that's
all you
2-9.
Do.
Yeah, there might be ways. I guess you can. Given her turn
winning
of pace,
distance,
I guess
something like that. A winning distance, yeah.
Yeah, we don't have any of that at the moment, but it might be worth looking out for on the day. Inspiral there to clear. Well, we think that certainly the likely winner and possibly the clear margin winner as well. 2 more races on the card to preview. We've got the Arianeo handicap now over 7 furlongs. 1 firm only out with prices. That's William Hill. So this is their prices. Nizaka 11-4. Atassa 5-1. Lord Rapscallion 11-2. La Maquina 13-2. Little Prayer 7s. Dashing Dick 7s. 11-1 bar. Andy, 10 runners here. Any catch your fancy at those early prices?
Yeah, I was really impressed with Nizaka when she won here last time out. Like the way she went through the race, she quickened up really smartly. I thought she won with quite a bit in hand. Obviously represents a stable that had a fantastic Royal Ascot, 2 wins in a second, and an agonising second in the Royal Hunt Cup. That would have been an astonishing 3 for 3. Had not the well gambled on Dark Shift sport the party. And it'd be lovely for Jan Chapelheim to have a winner at her local track on a high-profile meeting such as this. But as you can see as well, she's only one of 2 course and distance winners in the field as well, which, as I've talked about in the previous preview, is worth its weight in gold. It was a good time for her as well. It's not top-rated. We've got Lord Rapscallion top-rated, but I think he's probably under pressure from the handicapper. I think he's very much set in stone off his current rating. But I do think there's Nizark off a mark of 8 is capable of a good bit better. So yes, she's a rather unoriginal choice, but hopefully we're on a winner there with that one.
Interesting stuff. And on to the last as well, the Moet and Chandon handicap over 5 furlongs. Ancient Times 11-2. T Spirit 6-1. Novello 6-1. Celsius 15-2. Hanso Berger 17-2 with Dusky Lord. Lehoo 9-1 with Glory Fighter 10-1 bar.
Yes, I've always been a reasonably big fan of Celsius. He's a horse that often catches the eye in these kind of 5 furlong handicaps. Even if he doesn't win, there's always tendency to be an excuse. a hard luck story. He's a horse that does find a little bit of trouble every now and again. But when he's on song and when he gets a clear run at things, as he did last time at Ascot, he's a pretty devastating character at this kind of level. He's run really well here over this track before. I think he chased Hans Solo Burger in a race here last year. It might have been this race last year, actually. I think it might have been a small field. I think it was only 5 runners. So he's got a bit of previous at the track, but he does like a bigger field where he can get smuggled in and ridden with a bit of patience, with a bit of cover. So Jack Mitchell will be under orders to bed him in and try and switch him off and settle him. But once he meets that rising ground at the 2 furlong pole, he really will be kicking in the turbo. Whether still 6 ends up being the best place to be, I don't really know. We'll be sort of towards the back end of day 2 by the time this one's run, so we should have a good idea. So yeah, he's the pick. What price is he? I didn't.
15-2.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll shop around for sort of 4 places.
That's only one firm. That's Hills, so they're only firm around. So.
And they're 4 places. There's got to be a firm that will go 5 places. So
yeah,
I think you'll be fairly safe with him if you backed in 4 or 5 places from an each way perspective. You'll get something back off that.
Yeah, 15-2 Celsius, the one for Andy. Ancient Times is the favourite at 11-2. I spent the day at Harry Eustace's yard last week. We did a day in the life of Harry Eustace. He would, as you'll tell if you watch the video, absolutely love a winner at the July meeting. He's lived there, born and bred there in Newmarket. So do go to the Oddschecker YouTube channel and check out our video with Harry.
I need to check that out. Because I presume he said 1 or 2 complimentary words about chasing Aphrodite, did he not?
Yeah, off camera maybe rather than on camera, because it was mainly but he he spoke about chasing Aphrodite, who I think is going to run under penalty fairly soon, and he was very much saying not to judge chasing Aphrodite off the back of a penalty, but I think an exciting prospect long term, no doubt about that.
Yeah, looking forward to him. It's a good cue to watch that video. I think I'll go straight ahead and do that after we've done this.
Go and watch. He's a great man, and he's very welcoming to us, and unbelievable start to his training career as well. His strike rate is phenomenal, so he's doing something right. One of the good young trainers in Newmarket, alongside the likes of George Bowie as well, making waves. The new age. So go and check that out. You can also sign up to our YouTube channel to find all of our preview content. Andy and I are now going to go through Saturday's card as well at the July course for the July meeting. So do check that out too. And you can find all of these previews on the Oddschecker podcast channel as well. Thank you very much to Andy. Please do download the Oddschecker app for the best prices, free bets, bookie offers, place terms, and Andy's tips straight to the app every morning of racing. Hopefully a couple of winners in there. As I always say, I'm sure we've got the value. I had a look through the card for Thursday this morning, having recorded with Andy yesterday, and obviously I didn't back any of them, and all the horses that Andy put up a Barberton price. So do get on it as soon as possible. And as is always the case, please ensure that you're gambling responsibly.